Good morning. My name is Gina Diegnan and my company is Details by Gina, and I'm located on Long Island, New York. I do weddings in the tri-state area. I have been planning weddings for roughly 10 years. I have been in the wedding industry before I gave birth to my company, so it was just a natural progression for me to go out on my own and start doing this. My brides have always told me, Gina, you're so good at what you do, you should really make this your own business. So that's kind of where I began. I got started in the business because I'm also an event coordinator for a very popular DJ entertainment company on Long Island. So when I was planning the entertainment for my brides, they all were so excited with me helping them with that aspect. They wanted me to come to their weddings. So it was just a natural progression to start to do this. My style, my signature style, I don't know that I've got a signature style, but I definitely like to take a bride's vision and enhance it and to make it really something unique and original and their own. I love to pay attention to detail. Every wedding is unique. Every wedding should be about the bride and the groom and their personality. So that's essentially the style that I like to carry through every wedding, making it their own, making it something that they can say belonged to them, and it wasn't just a cookie cutter wedding where anybody could have stepped into the shoes of bride and groom. I have planned dozens of weddings, maybe hundreds, in the time that I've been doing this. Like I said, even before I had my own company, I was planning weddings unofficially, which is sometimes taboo in this industry. You don't want to be doing weddings without being a professional. And a specific story where I saved someone's wedding. Where do I start? I did a wedding in October that was being filmed for another TV program, a wedding program, and the florist was 3 hours late. And it was tough. It was very tough. I got to the reception hall with the bride, and we took her up to the bridal suite, and the groom was already there with his groomsmen. And when I went into the reception room, there were no centerpieces yet. And I said, oh, I really just hope that the centerpieces are in another room, and because the tables were just getting done, that they were going to put them on. So I asked the maitre d', and she tells me, no, no florist has shown up yet. And the ceremony is set to begin in about a half an hour. So I'm starting to panic. And I call a florist, and he says, oh, I'm almost there. I said, oh, that's not good enough. Where are you? And he's a very unique character. So in his Spanish gay accent, he says to me, oh, well, the Cross Island is very crowded. I said, the Cross Island? If anybody knows New York, Long Island, the Cross Island on a Friday at 5 o'clock is not the place you want to be, especially when you've got someplace else to be very, very soon. So those thoughts start running through my head. This bride will not have a bouquet to walk down her aisle with. The groomsmen will have no boutonnieres. The girls will have no bouquets. And there's still no centerpieces, which I wasn't so much worried about because the florist was going to be there in time for the reception. My next thought was, I know the bride in the next room. Maybe I can ask her if we can borrow her bouquet. And I could probably scrounge up about a dozen roses for the groomsmen to put as boutonnieres. So that was the thought process that was going through my head if I needed it to. So I was literally on the phone with the florist for the next half hour, ready to have a meltdown, ready to flip out. And he finally shows up, and here I am trying to calm the bride down because she hasn't had her bouquet. She doesn't know what's going on. She's locked away in the bridal suite, and I'm trying to keep her and myself very calm. So the florist finally arrives. Her bouquet is completely wrong. He has no boutonnieres, and it was just panic mode at that point. And he proceeded to explain to me why they were incorrect, and I didn't care. I dragged him upstairs. I let him explain to the the bride why her bouquet was wrong. And as she's about to burst into tears, I explained to her that it is what it is. It's the flowers. It's not the worst thing in the world. Her wedding will still be beautiful. We added some finer touches from my emergency kit to her bouquet to jazz it up. I scrounged around for a dozen roses. I pinned them on the gentleman, and the ceremony was beautiful. Nobody knew any different. Nobody knew that there was any type of error. Current weddings that I'm planning some really interesting weddings. Coming up soon is a farm wedding here in Queens, New York, and the bride and groom wanted something very simple, very down to earth, and so they went to this farm museum where there's chickens and ducks and hens running all over the place, and the room is pretty simple and just needs to be jazzed up by us. We're really sticking with the farm theme, haystacks and some daisies and milk and cookie favors. On chalkboards we're writing the guest list, the table numbers. So it's going to be really unique. So she's afraid that her guests aren't going to respond well to it, but I think they're really going to leave there saying that it was a unique event and it was very different from anything they've ever been to. My favorite wedding that I'm planning right now is for one of my brides, Danielle. She's getting married in August at a very special place to me, the Hall of Springs in Saratoga, New York. And it's very special to me because I always wanted to get married there, but for aesthetic purposes and band purposes, we couldn't do it. So when I found out she was getting married there, I was so excited. I couldn't wait to work on her wedding. She's a beautiful girl. It's a beautiful place that's just absolutely breathtaking. So I'm very, very excited to be working on that wedding with her. Some of the most unusual, unique weddings I've planned, this farm wedding is probably the most unique that I'm working on, only because it's on a farm and it's very different. I haven't planned a wedding where there's wild animals running all over the place and peacocks crossing, and it's very, very interesting where you have to be careful where you step. I also did a Caribbean wedding where the bride and groom were from Trinidad. So they took a lot of the colors and the elements from the islands and incorporated them into the bridesmaids' gowns and the floral arrangements. The cake was this beach cake. It was beautiful. And they really brought in a lot of traditional Caribbean elements that really made the wedding something familiar to their guests. And it also really brought it home for them, where they were able to share their traditions with maybe people who weren't Caribbean. So that was really a nice wedding and a beautiful, beautiful couple. Strange or unusual factors that are involved in planning a wedding. There's so many, I don't even know where to begin. But strange or unusual factors. One that really stands out to me is when a bride's vision is completely different than what's realistic, shall we say. When they are really not flexible about their weddings, especially when there's a professional trying to guide them in the right direction. It's a little bit strange because you want to explain to them that their wedding is about them and it's about also their guests, and making it something that their guests can really enjoy. So while I appreciate that a bride may love Metallica and Led Zeppelin, there's ways to incorporate that instead of playing that music for the entire wedding. So it's a little tough to try to bring a bride back down to earth when she's really just considering what she wants. Also dealing with crazy family members who all have opinions. It's tough, and the piece of advice that I like to give to my brides all the time is that it's about what you guys want. It's about making it your day, and if you've got opinions that are coming from all over the place and you don't really want them, you have to still be diplomatic, because once a woman gets an engagement ring on her finger, she seems to turn into this different person, and it's very hard to get them back down to earth. So they snap at people, they have these crazy expectations, and you have to remind them that there are other things going on in the world besides her wedding.